The Supreme Court gave the President of the United States powers that nobody thought the president had.
All right, so what exactly are we talking about here? I wish I could tell you. So we're going to end this still a little bit in the dark because it's like a lot of things that go on with Trump. We get a hint of what's going on, but we don't really know what has actually happened until it's in the rearview mirror, until it's behind us and we're sort of doing a post-mortem. But I can give you the overview. It's quite upsetting. And you can kind of see where things are going here. So what happened here was there was a Supreme Court decision about DACA a while back. So lawyers are trying to spin that stuff around to make that justification say that Trump now has these newfound powers as president that we never knew that he had before, and he's going to be able to do all sorts of stuff that he doesn't have to go to Congress in order to do. Things like immigration, things like health care.
The man who's wanted to kill Obamacare is going to take away the protection for pre-existing conditions.
First of all, we got rid of the individual mandate. Pre-existing conditions will always be taken care of by me and Republicans, 100%.
But you've been in office 3.5 years. You don't have a plan.
Well, we haven't had, excuse me, you heard me yesterday. We're signing a health care plan within 2 weeks, a full and complete health care plan that the Supreme Court decision on DACA gave me the right to do. So we're going to sign an immigration plan, a health care plan, and various other plans. And nobody will have done what I'm doing in the next 4 weeks. The Supreme Court gave the President of the United States powers that nobody thought the president had by doing what they did, their decision on DACA. And DACA is going to be taken care of also. But we're getting rid of it because we're going to replace it with something much better. But we got rid of already, which was most of Obamacare, the individual mandate. And that I've already won on. And we won also on the Supreme Court. But the decision by the Supreme Court on DACA allows me to do things on immigration, on health care, on other things that we've never done before. And you're going to find it to be a very exciting 2 weeks.
So even with people trying to piece this together and figure out exactly what he's talking about, we're not really going to know until he dumps these plans in our laps. So he's got the lawyers working hard. Which lawyers? Well, you can probably guess what kind of lawyers are working on this. So the main lawyer that's being referenced in these articles is John Wu. That would be the lawyer who helped Bush justify torture. Okay, the same lawyer, same guy. Okay, so what we're seeing here is a way of working around the rules essentially, right? It's the same thing that we see on Wall Street. We put regulations in place to make sure that banks are acting appropriately with basically other people's money, and then they find some workaround, some kind of new way to leverage things and try some new thing that they make a bunch of money off until we put regulations in to stop that. Well, Trump it's not like he's brand new to law, right? By all accounts, his whole time that he's been a businessman has been mainly about wrapping people up in the courts, right? Oh, I don't want to pay these people over here. I'll just threaten to wrap them up in the courts for a few years. I don't like what this person has done over here. I'm going to sue them, and we'll have these lawsuits go on for eternity. And that's essentially what's happening here. So this John Wu is suggesting that one of the things a president could do is essentially create new laws by just deciding not to enforce the old laws. Right? Just making a statement, these particular laws are not going to be enforced going forward, thus allowing you to put something else in its place, then meaning that you would get to follow through with that for the rest of your presidency. Okay? Now, even when another president takes over, here's the problem. Once those things are put in place, the new president can't just flip a switch and change the situation. Just like Trump couldn't flip the switch on DACA, right? He had to go through this whole process that he's still fighting about DACA in order to change that around. So you could create a situation where the new president would still have to follow your own rule for a year or two until it worked its way through the legal system and it had all been figured out. For example, this is the example that John Wu uses. So what if Trump just said, okay, federal law enforcement is no longer going to pursue following up on people who are carrying guns in public. So no more federal offenses, right? The law is still on the books, but we're not going to enforce it. So if you're in public carrying a firearm without the proper permits on a federal level, we're just going to look past it, essentially legalizing that kind of thing. And then what he could do is say, on the federal level, we're going to create a Trump permit, which would allow you to carry inside of the states. This is overruling the states' laws on concealed carry. So now what you have is a federal you have a couple of federal laws, one that is being openly ignored, and then a new permit that you put in place and said, well, as long as people fill out this form, then they can carry guns anywhere they want in this country. And if the DOJ just decides we're not following up on that stuff, which, you know, we've seen what Trump and Barr do together, if they just say, hey, we're not going to enforce that first law, and we're just going to be fine with everyone carrying wherever they are in the country, then essentially you have set up a new situation where that's the new reality, right? You can argue over what's happening legally, but the new reality is that people can carry their guns wherever they want. And when the new president takes over, they can't just get rid of it on day one. They're going to have to sort of legally unravel everything and go through that whole process. So Trump is now seeing this, and I'm sure him and Barr are just having a party every night about it, as a new way to work around Congress, a new way to work around the judicial system, a new way to basically make Trump what he wants to be, which is the dictator in charge. Right? He wants to be the one that just make a declaration, and that's what the rest of us have to do. Completely making an end run around our checks and balances. So let's remember, in that video, he promised about pre-existing conditions, that those aren't going anywhere. Well, we'll see. We'll see if he stands by that, right? Those of you who have been following the medical situation since Obamacare was first being discussed, pre-existing conditions is a hot topic. So again, we don't know exactly what these are going to look like, but be prepared, because in the next 2 weeks, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see a workaround on immigration, a workaround on healthcare. We're going to see things being put in place. He says a full, complete bill. I don't see how he's going to have a full and complete plan on the healthcare side of things based on the way that they're using this workaround. But, you know, obviously these guys are very smart and they know the law very well. So we'll have to see what comes out as he puts it out. And the problem with all of this is they've already prepared for what's going to happen when the legal battles ensue. Well, the legal battles are going to take months and months, probably longer than Trump's presidency, hopefully. That, you know, he won't be around another 4 years. Probably this is just all going to play out exactly how Trump wants for the rest of this presidency. So this is alarming. We need to be on top of this, and we need to pay attention to what exactly he's trying to do, right? We're already seeing this huge overreach in these cities where troops are being sent into different cities. And now he's basically making an end run around the other branches of Congress. So keep an eye on this. Well, I'll keep you updated. I'm sure there'll be more news. We're going to be talking about this in the near future. Make sure we understand this topic. Make sure we're looking out for it. And we need to speak up and make sure this kind of stuff stops before it gets very far. Thanks for checking out the video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can catch all the new content as it becomes available. I will be streaming Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific. Get some news in there. Make it a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more fun. None of us want to be bummed out on a Saturday night, right? So we'll get in there, take a look at the news and some stories, but try to have a little bit of fun with it, a little bit more lighthearted, and we'll see where we go from there. So thanks for checking in, and we'll talk to you later.